In 2014, as the beautiful quarter program expanded, the U.S. Mint released the Salt River Bay National Historical Park quarter, showcasing a detailed depiction of a white-tailed deer alongside the legendary fort ruins and tropical landscape of the U.S. Virgin Islands. These coins rolled into circulation in vast numbers, minted at both Philadelphia and Denver, each bearing the standard weight of 5.67 grams and a familiar copper-nickel clad composition. The design commemorated a vibrant corner of American history. Yet amidst this wave of celebration, a subtle anomaly slipped through assembly lines without notice, later becoming the stuff of numismatic legend. The Sandals Quarter, as collectors lovingly dubbed it, carried no intentional error at first glance. It passed through gas stations, toll booths, and coin counters with ease. Only under scrutiny did one particular coin reveal its secret. That secret lay not in a missing mint mark or dramatic misprint, but in the carefully layered artwork. It had been struck on a shield-type reverse planchet instead of the intended clad quarter blank. The metallic composition was wrong, the texture off, but the image was crisp. That mismatch would prove to be rare, and rooted in an oversight few had noticed at the time. The coin remained anonymous until late 2017, when a hobbyist named Tara Campbell, an amateur collector and environmental educator in Florida, followed her habit of examining pocket change for interesting varieties. It was after a lecture on wetlands that she dropped a handful of quarters onto her desk. One landed face up, Salt River Bay, deer poised on the trunk of a palm, island ruins in the background. Nothing remarkable yet. Then she lifted it to the light. The rim, something about its sheen and ring unsettled her. She tapped it on the edge of her faucet. It emitted a higher-pitched ring than any other clad quarter she'd tested. Her curiosity piqued. She passed it through her digital caliper, 3.5 millimeters thick. Thicker than a standard quarter's 1.75 millimeters. Altitude matters, and this quarter stood out in relief. She weighed it, 6.8 grams. Her pulse quickened. A quarter this heavy hinted at a denser metal. She peered at the edge, no copper stripe. The entire perimeter shone uniformly silver-gray. She moved to her loupe and inspected the deer's eye, the moss on the ruins, the lettering. Everything was sharply struck. Only the material was wrong. Could it be plated? Could it be a novelty? She knew better. This looked authentic from strike depth and detail. She packed the coin and sent it to a top grading service, requesting compositional testing without expectations. Weeks later, a package arrived. Inside, a scientific letter confirmed what she dared to hope. The coin was struck on a shield nickel planchet, 95% copper, 5% nickel, that had accidentally been fed into the quartering press. The coin received a grade of 55 Australian dollars, noting slight wear but excellent detail. Tara's find would become the first authenticated 2014 Salt River Bay quarter struck on a shield nickel blank. Within the collector community, disbelief turned to excitement. Forums lit up with spirited discussions. How had a nickel blank entered the quarter feed? Some speculated a cross-contamination during shipment. Others imagined a mint technician accidentally dropped a batch during a transition between runs. Philadelphia's documentation mentioned nothing unusual. Yet the test results were unambiguous. It was a nickel blank carrying a quarter's design. The anomaly was rare, maybe one of a kind, or perhaps a small handful hidden in circulation. Tara's find challenged expectations and lit a spark among error collectors. Value discussion began cautiously. Some offered a few $100s privately, unsure if this was novelty or gold. As documentation and graduate study discussions grew, guest prices shifted, $2,000, then $3,500. In 2018, a respected auction house accepted it as part of a specialist modern era sale, estimating a hammer between $4,000 and $6,000. Bidding soared beyond expectations, finally closing at $7,200. The Salt River nickel quarter had arrived. Shortly after, whispers of a second example emerged from a collector in Pennsylvania. He submitted a 2014 P Salt River quarter that weighed similarly heavy, 6.9 grams, with the same metallic tone. But that coin bore a different twist. The deer's antlers were damaged, not post-mint but due to dye wear. The grading service confirmed it as another shield nickel blank, but in poorer condition, grade VF30. It sold privately for $5,400, bringing credibility to the idea that multiple errors existed, though scarce. These discoveries transformed the Salt River era from a curiosity to attract series. Collectors began hunting rolls, checking roll after roll by weight and sound. Most finds yielded nothing. One collector documented testing over 10,000 quarters before hitting a trace coin. That trace coin turned out to be a clad quarter. False alarm. But the search alone spread awareness. Newspaper articles, TV segments, and coin shows began spotlighting the dear quarter that shouldn't exist. Dealers updated their descriptions. The value scale rose quietly with each passing year. Then came the twist no one expected. In 2020, a collector attending a convention in Tucson presented what appeared to be another Salt River anomaly, and it carried a die clash. Faint outlines of 5 cents overlapping the deer's fur. The clash appeared as ghost letters near the rim. Under magnification, one could faintly read United States of America, arcing faintly in the field. The grading service confirmed it, a shield nickel blank with a die clash, grade MS60. The layering of both wrong planchet and die clash made it the most complex known error yet. At auction, the coin drew intense attention, finally selling for $12,800 after extended online bidding. As news of that layered error circulated, the market hierarchy shifted. Standard shield nickels with Salt River design, graded MS50. MS55 now traded between $5,000 and $7,500. Better grades commanded $8,000 to $10,000. The uniquely clashed specimen stood in a tier above, expected to reach near 6 figures if another such piece ever appeared. Rumors swirled of yet another example with a rotated die plus shield planchet, but none yet confirmed that Tara's find, by virtue of being the first and cleanest, remained the reference point. She lent it for academic display at a university museum studying mint air mechanics. She declined further sale offers in the range of $15,000, stating the coin's place in numismatic history was more important than any sum. Through all this, the Salt River error story revealed something deeper. That even in modern, highly controlled mint processes, errors can slip through. Shield blanks meant for a different face, double missing edge data, die knowledge flying in the face of routine. The error influenced coin hunters to scrutinize not just early state quarters or rare dates, but any coin with subtle cues. The wrong sound, weight, or edge. Fewer known, perhaps fewer than 5 in total. Each documented specimen added layers to the legend. The first, Tara's, a worn second with antler wear, a third with die clash, rumors of a rotated die piece, and perhaps 1 or 2 others hidden still. The chase itself became part of the coin's allure in conversation circles now. The Salt River error is taught as a case study in how mint cross-loading errors occur, how modern detection relies on multisensory inspection, and how value evolves not just from rarity, but from story, discovery, and community validation. BY 2023, Consensus placed basic shield blank Salt River coins in the $8,000 to $10,000 range. Those with die anomalies fetched $12,000 to $15,000. The die clash example had set the speculative ceiling of $12,800 at auction, but serious whispers suggested value could exceed $20,000 if another surfaced. Collectors sat on the edge, listening for a clue in the handle of a coin jar, a ringing tap of metal that might just be another Salt River quarter waiting to be revealed. In the end, this tiny piece of history, standing just under an inch in diameter, became proof that hidden within the familiar, extraordinary stories still lie waiting. That a quarter celebrating a quiet Virgin Islands park could one day rewrite collector lore, thanks to a Ms. Feed, a keen eye, and a spark of curiosity. The year 2020 was anything but ordinary for the U.S. Mint. As the COVID-19 pandemic forced shutdowns and operational chaos, the Denver and Philadelphia facilities struggled to maintain normal production of America, the beautiful quarters. The Great Sand Dunes National Park Quarter, honoring Colorado's breathtaking landscape, was among the series' final releases, struck during one of the most turbulent periods in modern minting history. While most coins emerged flawless, a handful bore strange anomalies that would later send shockwaves through the numismatic community. The conditions were perfect for errors, skeleton crews, hastily sanitized equipment, and unprecedented pressure to keep coins flowing during a national coin shortage. Yet no one at the Mint noticed when a critical die deterioration issue began affecting a small batch of quarters, an oversight that would create one of the most intriguing modern errors. The discovery came from an unlikely source. a park ranger in Colorado Springs who received the quarter as change from a visitor center gift shop in late 2021. At first glance, it seemed normal. The dunes, sweeping curves on the reverse, George Washington's profile on the obverse. But when sunlight hit the coin at a certain angle, the ranger noticed something unsettling about the design. The Great Sand Dunes inscription appeared blurred, as if someone had smudged wet ink across the lettering. His curiosity piqued. He examined it under the magnifying lens on his Swiss Army knife. The truth came into focus. This wasn't damage. It was a dramatic doubling effect, most visible on the park's name and the date. The mountains in the background showed ghostly secondary images, suggesting something had gone terribly wrong during striking. Initial attempts to research the anomaly yielded little. The 2020 quarters were so new that error references hadn't been updated. When the ranger posted images on a coin forum, reactions ranged from dismissal, just machine doubling, to outright accusations of forgery. But as more examples surfaced, each showing identical distortions in the same locations, collectors realized this was something unprecedented. By mid-2022, only 17 examples had been certified, all traced to the Denver Mint's early production runs. The timing was telling. These coins were struck in March 2020, exactly when pandemic protocols were disrupting quality control. Metallurgical testing revealed an even stranger clue. The error coins contained slightly different reading patterns than standard issues, suggesting they came from a single malfunctioning press that was hastily reconfigured during the crisis. The market's reaction was electric once the error's rarity became apparent. The first authenticated sale in April 2022 brought $300, a windfall for a circulating quarter. By that December, prices had skyrocketed to $2,500 for uncirculated specimens. Then came the auction that changed everything. A PCGS-graded MS-67 example sold for $18,000 in March 2023, making headlines in mainstream financial news. Just when collectors thought the frenzy had peaked, a previously unknown variety emerged. A handful of coins showed not just doubling, but actual tripling of design elements near the coin's rim. One such example, certified as a triple die obverse, shattered records at $32,000 in late 2023. The twist? These ultra varieties all shared a tiny die crack near Washington's ponytail, evidence they came from the same deteriorating die in its final hours of use. What makes this error so fascinating is its deceptive subtlety. Unlike dramatic off-center strikes, the doubling only becomes obvious under angled light or magnification. The most pronounced examples show a stair-step effect on the inscription's ghostly duplicate dunes in the background, a telltale shadow on the date micro-doubling on Washington's profile, visible at 10x magnification. Advanced imaging revealed something even stranger. The doubling wasn't uniform. Some letters showed distortion only on their upper halves, suggesting the die had warped unevenly during striking. This peculiar trait became the key authentication marker, as counterfeiters couldn't replicate the specific directional flow of the metal. The ultimate revelation came from a Mint quality control report leaked in early 2024. During the pandemic's peak, a single die had been left in service 43% beyond its recommended lifespan. Struck over 200,000 times, when standard protocol called for retirement at 140,000, it developed a unique fatigue pattern that created these errors. Most shocking? The Mint had actually detected the anomaly, but allowed production to continue for 72 critical hours while awaiting replacement dies, a decision that inadvertently created a numismatic legend. Today, the 2020 Great Sand Dunes error quarter represents the perfect storm of historical circumstance and mechanical failure. With fewer than 100 confirmed examples, prices have stabilized between $8,000 to $15,000 for average specimens, while the triple die varieties command $25,000 plus. But what truly captivates collectors is the possibility that thousands remain undiscovered, perhaps still jingling in cash registers or hiding in bank rolls. Unlike classic rarities hunted for decades, these quarters are so new that most non-collectors wouldn't recognize their significance. The story of this quarter transcends numismatics. It's a tangible artifact of one of history's most disruptive periods. Each error coin is essentially a fossilized imprint of the pandemic's impact on American industry. For collectors, the thrill lies in knowing that even in our age of computerized precision, chance and chaos can still create treasures. And in an ironic twist, these quarters, born from a shortage, have become some of the most sought-after modern coins in existence. Perhaps the most intriguing question remains, how many other pandemic-era errors are waiting to be discovered? With mint records showing similar die overuse occurred across multiple denominations, the 2020 Great Sand Dunes Quarter may just be the first chapter in a much larger story of COVID-era numismatic rarities. One thing is certain, the next time you get a handful of change, you might be holding not just currency, but a piece of history.